as men especially, we have these ideas of what we thought our son was going to be. He was going to be the captain of the football team. He was going to be, the center fielder for the baseball team. He was going to be prom king. He was going to be all this. And when you realize that none of that is going to happen, it can be kind of hard to handle. And a lot of dads just check out, which is sad but true. Part of why as I was writing this book and looked around and realized there were no books written by dads, I was inspired to keep going. There's a missing voice out there.
Thank you for coming out today. Appreciate it.
I go to autism conferences all the time with Dylan, and it's 90% women. And yet the autism spectrum is like 85% boys. So you have all these boys with autism and yet all these women at the autism conferences. So there's a disconnect there somewhere. And part of it is because dads just oftentimes don't know how to handle it. At one of the conferences I went to, we did the presentation, and after this guy came up, and he was probably like 32 years old, and he had tears just streaming down his cheeks. And he said, that's me. He said, I don't understand my son. I have one son who likes to hunt and fish and play baseball and do everything I like to do, and then my other son wants to sit inside and play Legos all the time. And it drives me crazy, and I don't know how to connect with him. And how do you do it? And I said, well, it took me a long time. I mean, it doesn't happen instantly. Well, I ended up meeting that guy a year later at the same conference. I ended up going to the same conference again. And he came up to me and introduced himself. I said, yeah, I remember you. And he said, I just want to let you know, I have a completely different relationship with my son now. He said, ever since I read your book and I went to your presentation, now if my son wants to sit inside and play Legos for an hour and a half, I'll sit inside and I won't feel like we should be outside. I won't resent him for it. And it's such a relief. And I thought, wow, this is like, I never thought my book would have that kind of impact on a family. So you have to, like I said, you have to just go where they go. If they're into Legos, then figure out a way to get into Legos. If, when Dylan was into birds, we went to bird things, and we went one night till like 3 o'clock in the morning on some Audubon thing where we caught owls and tagged them. When he was into cars, we went to car shows, and we were in Baltimore and went to a car, went to see how a car was made, which ended up being really cool. You find out, you learn a lot of stuff from these kids because they're usually not into typical things. But the one thing I learned the hard way is you can't get them into something. Like I tried to get Dylan into baseball once. There's a story in the book about it. And it just didn't work. They figure out what they're interested in. You can't make them be interested in something.